All right, and we're recording. So, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sophia, and today we're doing something a little bit different. As you can see, I'm here in my home office, and we've got a guest here on the phone with us. This is my amazing friend Pilar, and she is, well, she's a lot of things. But I brought Pilar on because she is one of my very best friends. This girl's like a sister to me for like more than, I don't know, like 15 years or so. I've lost track at this point. We go way back. We've been through a lot. And Pilar has come to a place where she is a bona fide badass, pretty much. She is a wife. She's a mother of two small children. Okay, her daughter is 4 years old. Her son is a year and a half, I would say.
Yeah.
Almost a year and a half. Adorable kids. And Pilar has a full-time job. Okay, she's an international compliance manager for a major financial institution, a major bank that many of you probably bank at, okay? And not only that, but on top of everything that she's got going on, which, by the way, they just bought a new house, which they're still doing some construction on, okay, just to like add more to it. On top of all that, Pilar actually supports an international team. So that means that she has teammates and people under her that are in Asia and other parts of the world. So that means that on top of everything she's got going on, her schedule is actually affected by those time zone changes and stuff. So there are times when she has to log on in the morning extra early and lead calls in Asia, or she has to get on late at night to like do extra work or support those teams that are overseas. So yeah, dude, I don't know how you do it, but the reason I'm bringing you on this call today is because Pilar has been doing this for years, okay? Most of you now with the quarantine situation, you're now working from home. You may not have been used to doing that. Maybe you have small kids or kids of other ages that you were used to having them at home, at school, but now they're at home. You're at home, you still got to get your work done, and you want to have a work-life balance, right? You still want to feel like you have a good life and you have a life that's outside of work. So my friend Pilar has all the tips to make your work-at-home experience very successful, or a lot more successful than it could be. So let's go ahead and get started, Pilar. Welcome, and thank you so much for being with us. I remember that when we talked about this, yes, absolutely. No, this is great. I'm so excited that to be able to provide this for people. I think it's going to be very helpful, very practical during this time. So I remember one thing that a term that I've heard you say before, it's called key dependency activities. Okay, I love this term, right? And what it is we're going to be starting with what are the things that you have to do the day before you're working from home in order for that next day to run smoothly. So let's pretend it's Sunday night, the work week is about to start Monday morning. Tell me, Pilar, what are you doing Sunday night to make sure that Monday morning goes smooth?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sophia. Yes, that's right. And all those challenges you mentioned and all the many roles and hats that I wear throughout the day has definitely made me question and come up with strategies, if you will, to manage and improve as we go. It's not like we all know what to do. You know, it's more of a trial and error. And then eventually what works sticks. So it's a matter of having an array of tools. You know, what worked for me may not work for you. So just remember, the point here is for you to be open to try new things, to maybe experiment and, you know, do it for 2 or 3 days and see if those routines help you improve or not. Or maybe they're not much value added, so you may continue on with something that may work. So always that's the key. I continue to practice that and I actually attribute some of my success to the fact that I've remained open to always experiment with different tools and recognize when something is gone stale, when a routine is no longer working, whether it's for me, for your husband, for your partner, for your kids. That's really the core of this message that I want to give you today. Is just to be open to, you know, consult other people and ask and be vulnerable, if you will, whenever maybe you want to ask a friend or tell a friend, you know, this is not working for me anymore, or this is something, so that that friend can share with them what works for them. And that's how we're going to continue to build a wealth of tools and resources that we can have handy. And this whole concept about key dependencies came about at the end of last year as I was struggling with a project at work that was very challenging. and concerned a lot of partners, and I was really bringing my best project management forward. So I have some experience on the project management space, and throughout my multiple roles, that's something that's always been a passion of mine, mostly because I like to see things getting done. And that's really the point of project management. It's just taking something that's very complex, breaking it down into small problems so that then you can achieve the completion of each of those problems and ultimately the final goal, right? And solve the bigger problem. And as a team, that's a beautiful thing to do. So bringing that thought and that sort of work experience into the home model back in, I want to say, December, when we had a bit of a slowdown because of the holidays, is really what helped me break down my routine challenges. Now, in my point in life, that I have two small children, like Sophia said. So I have a 5-year-old and a 1.5, that's very active. And when I had one, it wasn't so challenging. Well, now I have two. So the dynamic has changed quite a bit. I also have a husband that works from home. So we are two working from full-time professionals, and managing life of both work and personal at home. And now, obviously, through quarantine, we are even more home than ever. Before, quarantine, we had a routine where my husband would have one night a week or one day a week or two, that he'll do something like, for example, go to the casinos on Thursdays and play softballs on Saturdays. Then I'll have my, maybe go shopping on Saturdays without the kids. So that'll be my personal time for the week, or maybe I'll go meet the girls for, a girls' night. So we always had at least one day a week, if not at least one day a month, that we could set time aside for ourselves as individuals. So I think that's also very important as part of your routine. And we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. But to your question, if it's Sunday, right? Today is Sunday. I got to get ready for Monday. So what is this whole key dependency thing? It's really just identifying what are the activities that need to take place the day before in order to help your next day run better or be a good day. What is that? What does a good day look like for you? Is it to have quiet time and enjoy your coffee in the morning? Is it to go have a good workout before you start the day? Is it to maybe sleep in a little longer and wake up later and skip breakfast altogether because you like starting your day later and not necessarily care about breakfast or exercising before work, which is the case of my husband, right? He enjoys staying in bed later and having his coffee and then jumping right into his day. I'm, on the other hand, like to work out before the kids wake up because that's when I feel I can have my time as a mom without feeling that I'm not there for my kid. Because when my kid is in school, I have to be at work. So I cannot really, it's hard for me to detach and go work out. But if the kids are home, I have to be there for them unless they're sleeping. So that works out for me in the morning. So that's a key dependency activity for me, is to work out. And for my husband is to sleep in and have coffee. That's definitely a main key dependency for him. So we went through the list and we both identified what worked for each of these us individually, and then what's going to help us enhance or sort of enable those moments or those activities to take place the next day. Well, preparing ourselves, that's what helps us. So how do we prepare ourselves for the next day? Number one, meal prep. Meal plan at the very least. And by meal planning and meal prepping in this sense has a slightly different meaning. Meal prepping means you cook the meal, you put them in the fridge, and it's ready to heat up and go. Meal planning means, well, I know I have pasta and I have sauce and I have vegetables. I'm going to throw that together and I want to make this pasta, whatever, right? That's meal planning. You know, you haven't done the work, but you know exactly what you're going to do when it's time to cook. So that's a huge help when it comes to food, especially when you have small children that you need to feed timely. They cannot just sit there and wait for you to figure it out. So like I told, my main concern with the kids is to know what to feed them ahead of time. And I always keep fruit handy, so like berries or bananas or anything that's mandarin, that's quick and easy to grab and munch on, while I'll get the
Right, because by the way, Pilar, guys, Pilar is a vegan, and pretty much her family is as well. So just add another thing on top of everything that this girl manages. She manages to even keep the household vegan and eating healthy throughout like all of this. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually easier than most of what we think. We've been a vegan household since a little over a year now, about a year and a half since my son was born. So it's been a bit of a transition, but it only took a couple of months. Now it's really easy and sort of natural to just gravitate. That's the kind of food you keep in your house. So whatever, diet plan you want to follow, it's key that you keep that kind of food that you want to put in your body in the house handy. Right, so we avoid buying the stuff that we know is not what we want to eat, and that's going to sort of impede us from going that path. But yeah, any snacks, if you will, for the kids, it's always great to have handy as you prep it. I just put the meal together in a plate. Sometimes I only have 5 minutes before my little one gets a meltdown for his meal, before he has the meal. And then you don't want to get him to get too upset, because then he will not want to eat if he gets too upset. So it's sort of like a very tricky window with a little one that I've learned to manage with the meal prepping. And then another key dependency activity, very important, is the dishwasher. You've got to load it every night. It's my friend here, Sophia, is actually who I attribute the teachings of the cycle. The dishwashing cycle.
I hate, guys. I hate washing dishes by hand. I am all about that dishwasher. It gets used every single day.
Yeah, and it's not
That's right.
so
So what do you do? You load it the night before.
Yeah, and it's not so much that we don't like to do the dishes, it's that it is time consuming, and it is definitely it definitely inhibits you from being efficient in the kitchen when the dishes are like, topping your sink or your counters, and you cannot maneuver to even cut a piece of cucumber, like that's what we want to avoid here. It's not so much, it's a very convenient tool that if you have a dishwasher, I highly encourage you to use it. I've had dishwasher for years, and I've never really cared to use it on a regular basis like I do now. It's because I've identified as a key dependency activity. If we load our dishes at the nighttime before bedtime, we wake up and then the dishes are clean. And then one of those activities in the morning becomes unloading the dishwasher, so we can load dishes throughout the day, and we don't have to worry or get stressed about seeing the dishes laying around. And remember, we now work and live at home. A messy kitchen is going to add more stress to our daily day. So avoiding that is really the key dependency activity here throughout the day. So I literally have dishes as 2 key dependency activities: loading the dishwasher at night, actually 3, unloading in the morning, and 3, keeping the dishes in the dishwasher as they get dirty throughout the day. That will be,
the sink is clear. So the sink stays clear.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is great.
It seems silly, but it allows us to, one, quickly prep our breakfast in the morning and our lunches, because I have to pack both my kids' vegan lunches. So it's a bit more challenging sometimes. And I need to also, again, meal prep, right? Not only do I meal plan or meal prep about my breakfast, I also do it for the lunches for the kids. And typically that happens in the evening the day before. So the lunch the next day may be dinner from last night. And sometimes my 5-year-old doesn't really like that. She's like, "Oh, again?" I'm like, "Yeah." You kind of have to right?
Yeah.
It's was yesterday, and if you're hungry enough, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So I really.
You know what? But let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about that, because I'm sure there are people out here who are just starting to work from home. Maybe they have small kids who are a little bit finicky eaters, right? So I'm picking up from what you're saying is that one of the things you have to have in mind is that your kids are also going to need to cooperate. They're going to need to be part of that collaboration that happens to make everything flow smoothly. What does that mean? Don't be spending your precious time making extra meals for your finicky eater kids that don't want to eat, what the rest of the family wants to eat. Encourage them, guide them, to partake in the family.
And the decision-making process too. I do involve my 5-year-old in the decision-making process before I cook or before I plan for the next day. I usually give her 2 or 3 options, typically 2. You don't want to make it too many for the little ones. But it
Right.
helps them have that choice. You want cereal or you want oatmeal for breakfast. They're both there. It's your choice. You have
Right.
to have one of the 2. And if you don't pick, I'm going to pick for you. So that's your choice. So I
Right.
think definitely help, half the battle. So she usually only gives me a little bit of a surprise. I'm having the same thing for lunch as I have for dinner. But it's not a hard one because she typically likes what she's eating, right? Some things also when I want them to push them to try new things because I do want them to have an open mind about food and textures and different flavors. I usually implement like the 20-80 rule where I give her 80% of something I know she likes and enjoy, and then maybe 20% like onions, right? That she's not too
Right.
fond of. And onions,
Right.
I tend to cook it for her. So I give her a pass if the onion is raw because it is a little spicy, she says. So I give her that pass. So I always cook the onions for her. And then I put, 20% of onions in her plate and see if she eats it. And most of the time she does. And that's really what helps them sort of lose that fear and not become blocked about food or trying new things.
Oh, wow. We are, guys, we are learning about a lot more than just working from home here today. We're learning about parenting and successful ways to guide your kids to eat better, right? So thank you, Pilar, for that extra. So let's say, okay, now we are the morning of, you've had your morning workout, you've put away the dishes, and now I'm guessing you're preparing breakfast for the kids, and the kids are going to school typically, or in this case, they're at home. So how does that go?
Yeah, so for the routine, me and my husband have a very good sort of tag team going on. Like I said, my husband likes to sleep in a little later. So by the time he wakes up, I've already worked out, gotten ready, gotten the kids up to bed, changed them, and been feeding them breakfast and starting to prep their lunches. So now he's just waking up and making coffee, right? So you will think, oh, that's not fair. Well, it's not that it's fair, it's that it works, right? It's a team partnership, and we've agreed that those are our key dependency activities that we value and certainly help our day go well or start well. Right. If your day doesn't start good, I know you know that feeling when your day just starts off the left foot and you're just not in the right
train wreck
self. Right. So exactly. So we try to avoid, and don't get me wrong, we still have those days whenever we fail on those key dependent activities, which is usually the weekend. We find ourselves in that situation a lot of mornings, and we just have to get an extra nap during the day or something like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just what works for you or your partner, whoever you live with, right? It could be your parents, it could be your roommate, whoever that may be. You just have to have that conversation and identify what works best and how you're going to team tag. I'm sorry, because as I'm doing all these things for the kids, now he's starting to do the coffee, and honestly, I love his coffee. So his thing is, I wait for his call. I don't make the coffee because I want him to make the coffee. So I really enjoy him making the coffee. So I do want him to wake up and be really happy to make his specialty coffee. And then once the kids are ready, he takes them to school. Well, he used to take it to school. Now he's not. But in a regular day, that's what he would do. He would do the taking to school. Then at that point, I'll have maybe a good 15, 20 minutes, depending on the work schedule, to myself before starting the day. And that's where I would do either a little bit of quiet time, maybe some yoga stretches, or again, a read of some Bible study or women's study or whatever motivates me, right, for a couple of minutes, something that's sweet, short and sweet. It's really, I think, the sharing on top of my morning routine. And then I go on about my day, start logging into work and taking on calls. And typically my mornings, because I do work with the Asian team and Europe team, typically my calls are always held throughout the morning all the way to early afternoon. So I really don't get to do much emails or readings or actual work until the afternoon hours. So that's kind of how my day has started to flow these days with my international team presence.
So let's talk here for a second about setting up your home office for success. When I've gone over your house before, when you and your husband have been doing the work from home thing, it's been so funny because you guys are working from home, but they love to have like some background music playing. And for some people, maybe it would be soft background music, but they actually like to have background music that is a little bit popping, you know, a little bit like has a little bit of a kind of a beat to it, so that I'm guessing it gives you guys energy, makes you feel just energized, and puts, you know, gives you a good vibe for your work and stuff, right? It kind of sets the mood.
Absolutely. Yeah. And music is very much about, you know, the mood that you want to set or the tone that you want to set. Whether it's a concentration tone because you have to get the work done, you're grinding through spreadsheets, or because it's a more relaxing tone because you just really need to decompress and distress and take it slower. So we do play around with the music, but yeah, typically my go-to music is like chill house music. So it's a little relaxing, but it's a good beat to it, so it can keep you going and sort of, you know, pump up your
Yes, I love it. Oh my God, I love it. I love that. I think that's my favorite thing. And then also about establishing a do not disturb zone, of course, right? I'm sure that can be a little bit of a challenge or a little bit fluid perhaps, but how do you ensure that quiet work environment, you know, without sending everybody to hell?
Yes, that's a very good one, especially when the kids are ready for a nap or the next meal, and I'm still having calls and, you know, still at the computer, unable to tend to them. Typically, my husband helps me. Again, he's a great teammate, he's a great partner, he's a great team player, I should say. So he typically understands, and same thing when he's on calls, I shield him from the kids. So I make sure the door is closed. We may need to put a chair in front of the door so the little one doesn't open it. But we try to shield each other when we know we need that time and that space to finish work and the kids are on the way or needing something from us. So that's really the key, I think, is having a door that you can close. Because before this house, we had another office that had that didn't have a door, actually. I don't think it had a door, our last office. And that made it challenging to separate the two rooms and get that kind of privacy when you needed it to get work done. But yeah, I do still break for bedtime. So my job is quite demanding nowadays. So unfortunately, I'm not able to finish both my meetings and my workload from, let's say, 9 to 5, as your typical, you know, corporate job schedule is, because of the international component, because of a bit higher workload I've had through projects. I do need to come in and log back after I put the kids to bed. So what I typically do, I've separated my working day throughout shifts. So I have the morning shift, then I have the afternoon shift, and then I have a night shift. Typically, obviously, a night shift is overtime and it's only done when absolutely needed. I only do things that are mandated through a deadline or are dependency, again, a dependency activity for the following day, or for I'm prepping for a meeting on the following day. So something that's an absolute must, right? I will not encourage anyone to do this because you need your adult time. We're going to talk about that later. But if you do need, and because of this new situation that you have the kids at home, now more than ever, I'm having to do more work at night because even my normal workload is not able to get done during the day with, you know, more meetings and less time during the day to be on my computer because the kids are demanding for me to help them with something or make sure they're transitioning through activities and taking their naps. So definitely a lot of you are going to be experiencing less productivity during the day and having to maybe log in for a few hours, maybe tops, hopefully 3 hours at night to finish your work for the day and prepare for the next.
Right. But it'll still be a good thing to do in the sense that then the next day will go smoother because you did what you needed to do the day before. So it's kind of the lesser of two evils, it sounds like. So then what about lunchtime? Any helpful tips for lunchtime or the lunchtime routine or transitioning into lunchtime and out, especially with the kids at home?
Absolutely. Just like I said earlier, just meal plan or know what you're going to cook before the day before. Because if you know already, let's say you're limited, because now we're limiting our trips to the store once a week, right? We want to be avoiding to be out as much as possible. So we really have to get creative. maybe we don't have all the ingredients to do some special recipe like we used to, like I used to follow people that give you recipes and get inspired to different things. So now I'm not so much driven about these recipes on Instagram. I'm more driven about, okay, what ingredients do we have? What sort of goes together? How can we mix and match here and get creative, you know? So we've come up with some pretty good dishes. And again, the key is, same as I said earlier with the kids, yourself included. Your lunch needs to be either taken care of and just ready to heat up, or you already know what to do, maybe something quick, maybe a sandwich, or maybe
Salad
something
or
that's
something, yeah.
frozen, something that's frozen, and you gotta grab it and heat it up. Those are really the options. Typically for lunch is very it's ever changing for me because I don't know if I'm gonna have to work through lunch. I typically have meetings that are lunchtime, but I do always keep a 1 hour block throughout in the middle of the day. So if I have a meeting at 11 or at 12, I make my lunch hour either at 1 or at 11, right? So I move my lunch hour up or down somewhere between 11 and 1 to make sure that I have that block time either, and I can choose to either catch up on work because I've had a busy morning and my lunch is ready and heated up and I can just eat it on my desk, or I can choose to just walk outside or walk around the block or just eat my lunch, you know, in the porch outside or in the front without having to be by my computer. So it's important that you remind yourself that you need that midday break, whether it's an hour, 30 minutes, or maybe 20 minutes. Even a nap will count as a great break.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you feel that when you go back to work after that break, whatever it was, whether eating, walking around, taking a nap, you probably feel refreshed and kind of ready to start the next segment of the day. And
Yeah.
so now after lunchtime is like wrapped up.
Sorry, I was gonna say, not so much the refresher, but to me, it's more getting my thoughts organized. So when I go out for a walk, or when I go out to the yard, and you know you're busy, you're working, you have a lot of things going on and spinning in your head, and you're stressed because you know there's a lot to do and not enough time, and the kids are on the way. So I feel like it gives me a chance to reorganize my priorities. So I go back to my desk and I know what are my top 3 things I must do today. That's really what you want to get to at the end of the day to stay productive at work. What are those 3 key things you absolutely must do before the end of the day? And you focus on those and keep bringing yourself back to those, because the emails and the pings and the calls will continue to distract you, and now the kids. So please, just if you remember anything else, is to keep those 3 things written on a little, I'll have it right here, sticky note, and put them on your if you have to, so you only do those. Then you can feel satisfied at the end of the day. If you did nothing but these 3 things, you made your day. That's really very important for you as a person, as a productive person, to know you've done your best and you've accomplished the goal, as little or as big as that goal may be. Just have a goal, and it's gonna make you feel like $1,000,000.
Yes. Oh, I love that. So the big 3. So now when the workday starts to wrap up, which I know for you, you mentioned sometimes you're going to log in again at nighttime, but let's pretend it's about, let's say 5, 6 o'clock, right? The typical workday is wrapping up. How do you transition out of the workday? In fact, even a better question for you would be, how do you even make yourself stop? Like where do you draw the line? If you're writing emails, if you're working on a project, whatever, how do you make yourself stop and get up and transition into the rest of out of the workday and into your personal time now in the evening?
Yeah. So for me now it's easy because I have a human alarm. It's my 1.5-year-old. By 6 p.m.,
Nice.
by 5, towards the end of the afternoon, after he has a second nap, he's ready to go outside and just explore and run a little bit. Again, he needs to go outside at least twice a day. And the afternoon run is actually his favorite one because I think it's cooler and not as sunny anymore. So he enjoys it more. So I enjoy it too. And so is my 5-year-old. So we always go to the backyard or we walk around the block. I take him on the wagon and I walk the dog. So having that pet time outside with the kids, it's really satisfying and gives you that mental break that the day is over. well, the main part of the day, I should say, right? Now you have your night shift, whether you're going to work or not, you're still either going to do some adult time or you're going to finish some work and prep for tomorrow as well. So yes, that going outside at the end of the day is similar to me as the same, or it's the same as working out at the beginning of the day. So it's just breaks those starting and end points.
Gotcha. Excellent. Excellent. So that's awesome. So we got the garden, we got the outdoor. In your case, by the way, on top of everything, guys, Pilar has like 10 million pets. I mean, I lose track every time I talk to her. There's a new member of the family. They just got, I think, a dog a few months ago. Now they have a rabbit as well. So I don't know what's going to be next, but I'm pretty sure the animals are going to keep coming. There's the rabbit. Oh my God. So cute. Oh my God, it doesn't even look real. It is adorable. So,
a bunny in replacement of a cat. If you're allergic to cats, that's how we ended up with a bunny. Because my husband is allergic to cats, and my daughter wanted a fluffy that she could play with and enjoy playing like a bunny.
Nice. Oh my God, I love that. So, while you are working in the outdoors, you're walking around outside or you're playing outside or I know sometimes your kids even go in the pool like after school and stuff. Are you cooking dinner at the same time, or like how do you make sure, like what's happening with dinner at this time? Because I'm sure you're also kind of hungry. Like I would be hungry at this point.
Yes. Again, like I said, very little time to actually cook. So we try to make like a one-pot meal, or lately my husband is making casseroles in the oven. So it's really nice to have just this one big, pot or dish of a meal that you have your veggies and your starch and the nice sauce in it, and then you serve it with a side of a salad or a side of grilled veggies or avocado or whatever you like. It's really easy. So typically during the time, so while we're taking our end of the day break, I would have either some pasta boiling, and I know what sauce I'm going to use to make it with some veggies, or I'll have some lentils cooking. I know you love lentils, so that's one of our favorite go-to lentil soups, or lentil chili, or some kind of chili going. Rice and beans is always my kids' favorites. Cannot go wrong with that. Mac and cheese or rice and beans is typically what they go for. So while we're playing and enjoying ourselves, we'll have either the rice cooking or the pasta cooking or the potatoes boiling. So when we're almost done with the play time, or the kids come inside to cool down, have some juice, I can just mash up the potatoes, veggies, and be ready to serve. And again, remember, now this dinner you're gonna make enough so you have leftover for tomorrow's lunch. That's really the key.
Right. Yes. So always making extra, having those Tupperwares ready, so that you can, section it off. Maybe some of it you can freeze, maybe some of it you can keep in the fridge, so that, you can keep it going and always have food that's ready-made to make everything else go smoother. So after dinner time comes the bedtime routine. Oh my gosh, I don't have kids, guys, but this is the part that I'm scared of in the future. So tell us about the bedtime routine with the kids. How do you make it go smoothly so that you and your husband still have adult time left in the day, and you don't feel like you're a slave to, all of that?
Yeah, no, but bedtime is very similar to the morning routine. So it's just kind of the, right? So instead of getting them up, we're going to wind them down. So now we got to get them fed very well. That's always the key with kids. Got to make sure they're fed. Got to tame the beast with food. That's my key.
Nice.
If they're not well fed, they're not happy. So that's the first thing. Again, we start with dinner. We prop them down, which, by the way, cooking dinner and feeding him right after has become a bit of a challenge because my little one is very sensitive to hot food. So I'm trying to put some ice in his food, and that actually cools it quicker, and I can feed him quicker because, again, he's very short tempered when it comes to food. So those are the little tricks that I'm learning to manage with him. So then as soon as he's well fed and he's had his good cup of milk or juice or water, whatever he wants to drink. He's a big fan of drinking something, a lot of something. He knows he's ready for bath. So he'll actually sign me, he's done. He's ready to go take a bath. And we go take a bath. Usually take his clothes off right there in the high chair. And, my 5-year-old gets the water going, and, she knows how to prep the tub and gets her clothes out, and they get them both together in the tub. and they have both sort of a playtime in the water, and they're getting clean, so it's perfect. They love and playing with each other, and I'm not going to say it's always happy play. Sometimes there's a lot of crying and whining because they're tired and they just want to go to bed, but typically they do have a good time. So depending on their mood and how well they're behaving, I may let them stay in the tub for maybe an extra 10 minutes, or it may be a quick shower and it's just 5 minutes. So it depends on how they're doing. Really, they would make that choice for themselves. And then I, put them in their PJs, brush their teeth, and pretty much sometimes read them a story. I try every day, but again, just because of how their mood is and how they're behaving determines if we'll get to read a story or not. Sometimes they're so tired, especially the little one, that he's just ready to go straight to bed. Sometimes he's in a good mood and he wants to read a story, so we'll do a story. So again, we try to keep it open and go with the flow there. So we don't. The key with bedtime that I've learned, we tend to, especially at the end of the day with everything going on and at work and all the stress that we have, if the little one is just crying and uncomfortable, the easiest thing is to go with the flow. Do not go against the river. So I try my best to just follow the current and go to the path of least resistance. And if he's fighting me, I'm going to put him to bed quicker. And if he's going with it and he's behaving well, then we enjoy our time more during the evening, maybe stay up a little later now that we don't have the pressure to take him to school in the morning. That's really, to me, has been the key, because I did find myself getting very frustrated and very, frustrated pretty much, that I couldn't read him a bedtime story every night like I wish I could. But sometimes he's not open to it. So it doesn't serve him or me any good to force on reading a story when he's not in the right mood for it. So that's what I remind myself, and it's okay that, we may need to make that choice sometimes. Opposed with my bigger one, I always read her a bedtime story every single night, and she absolutely loved it. She absolutely looked forward to it. She had no issues during bedtime, but this little one is a little more spirited. So I need to go with his flow.
Right, exactly, right. So instead of trying to make everything happen like clockwork, the same thing every day, same time, instead it's actually better to just take the path of least resistance, kind of go with the flow, see how the day is going, see how their moods are and stuff, and just kind of work with it. And if bedtime and if story doesn't happen, okay, more time for the adults.
Exactly.
Right.
Usually by 8 o'clock they're in bed. Maybe the older ones stay up maybe a few minutes later to brush her teeth, or finish homework or whatever she may have pending, or feed the bunny. That's one of her new tasks now. That's also why we got her a pet. Responsibility to feed the bunny before bed, and when she wakes up, and drop the hairs for him. So typically I'm more lenient with the bigger one, because again, she's not fighting me. If she's behaving well, she also gets that freedom. If she's not in her her good mood, then she would also go to bed earlier. It's really their choice, and I try to remind them, hey, if you continue with that behavior, you're just going to have to skip story time and go straight to bed. And they don't realize it in the moment and they get upset, but eventually it'll stick with them. It's my choice. My behavior matters. So that's really what I'm trying to teach them here. I'm not punishing them by not reading the story. I'm just giving them the choice that if they're not cooperating, if they're not helping through the bedtime routine, then we're not going to have time for a story, because there is a time limit for bedtime, just like there is a time for everything throughout the day, right? We try to make a schedule and we do our best to stick with it. And that's what they have to take away from our day-to-day routine. Really, it's a life lesson as well, to know that there is a limit and a time for everything.
Right. I love that because I've always admired about you that you seem to have the right balance between having structure in the household so that the kids know that there is a routine, that, that helps them feel safe and secure. You guys have certain things that are going to be happening on a regular basis. But at the same time, you're not forcing that routine to intrude and take over the life of the adults, to the point where the adults are now slaves to the children, slaves to the children's whims as to when they want to do stuff. That's not how it works. The parents are in charge, and things got to work for the parents, instead of everything revolving around the children,
The children have to adapt to your lifestyle. One of my favorite books, if you're a parent and want to be a parent or will be a parent soon, is called Parenting with Love and Logic. And I would say probably 80-90% of my style or lessons or teachings have come from that book. Highly recommended. They have an audiobook as well. It's a great relief for you as a parent to understand your role of a consultant in your kid's life, and also the fact that your kid came into your life and they have to adapt and learn to live your lifestyle, whether that's being a vegan, a Democrat, a Republican, a Catholic, a Christian, a Scientologist, whatever your lifestyle is. That's who you brought into this world, and they have to learn from you. That's why they chose you as a parent, is to learn from you.
Right.
Your kids choose you. So you have to teach them who you are and how's your household and how's your routine and how's your, life outcome. And that's what they're going to learn. That's what they came here for. So definitely don't forget your role as a parent. You're not here to obey them, and nor are they here to obey you, but you're here to teach them. So it's just a lifestyle, a lifelong partnership, and you happen to be his or her life coach or consultant as they grow up. So that's really what I hope to one day be to both my kids.
That's excellent. Well, you're definitely doing a great job at being that example of balance and of, being able to not have to really sacrifice anything. You're pursuing your career, growing in your career. You just got promoted last year, which is awesome. You're still pursuing having that family life, having that beauty of activities, and even with pets, and by enjoying your new home and stuff, and Pilar travels, and there's a whole lot of other stuff too. So now let's talk about the adult time. We've talked plenty about the kids. So now, how do you make sure that you are nurturing your marriage, yourself as an adult time? Again, going back to the same concept that the day doesn't only revolve around the kids, but rather there's time for me too, and as an adult for, me, my marriage, and all that other fun stuff. So tell us, what's a typical nighttime routine in your household, I guess, after the kids are asleep?
The nighttime is definitely the third part of the day. It's no lesser than your morning or your afternoon. Your nighttime is also filled with enriching activities. Although some of them may be relaxing, like watching a series, watching a movie. Typically a series nowadays is what we watch. You should get hooked on one or two at a time. And but other than that, we also take the time to go outside, sit by the porch, and enjoy maybe a drink, maybe a tea or a glass of wine. It all depends on the day and the mood, right? And but that I really appreciate and very much look forward to that unwinding time with my husband, where we can just sit together and share, whatever's been bothering us or what's coming up the next day. And unfortunately these days, again, because we're working more and having to finish work at night, I haven't had as much as my quality time at night. I tend to work 2 or 3 hours after I put the kids to bed, and then have my little bit, maybe an hour of just unwinding with him. So it's not as much as I like to. I like to have at least my 3 hours. So let's say I spend an hour prepping for the next day, and then 2 hours just unwinding, getting ready, and relaxing with him or watching a series, whatever that may be. But we do both enjoy to drink almost the same things or watch around the same things. So we make a good sort of easy flow partnership or team work that really makes it natural. Some people, though, may not need to be or share with their partner, or some days you just want to read a book by yourself and just have your partner next to you. We don't have to talk, that's what I'm saying. You don't have to have a full, engaging, deep conversation every night, but just the fact that you may be reading a book in the bed next to him, and he's on the phone, maybe playing a game. My husband likes to game, so he's always playing some little game. So just that companionship really, gives that level of comfort.
Time, which doesn't have to be active. It can also be just being with each other. But I think that's also extremely important because, like you said, if that doesn't happen, then think about it. If that doesn't happen, or it doesn't happen enough, then what happens? You start the next day, that teamwork that needs to happen isn't going to be as smooth because, you're feeling disconnected from your partner, from your husband. You haven't had that time together to feel united, like, and to remember why you're doing this all, right? Because it all starts with that. It's like, you know, having the job, having the kids, having the home, having the pets is all, in my opinion, secondary to that original, that relationship with, which is the center of it all, right? It depends on that bond, that relationship. It's got to be solid. It's got to be working so that everything else can be working too and fall into place, right? Like they say, teamwork makes the dream work, but you can't have that teamwork happening well if you're not investing time into your relationship, you know?
Yeah.
Come on. So
Absolutely.
that's awesome.
And that's something that's been a bit of a sacrifice, I would say. Again, like I said earlier, because of the extra work hours at night, because of the, you know, quarantine situation that I've been having lately, it's definitely, we have taken a toll on our bonding time at night. And to your point, it has made the mornings more challenging, either because we're both going to bed later, again, because we're working later and we're getting less rest, we're not starting our mornings right, or to your point, we're not as in sync in our teamwork. Maybe he forgot to load the dishwasher or to turn it on. That's what happened the other day. He actually loaded it and he forgot to turn it on because he was so busy. So then the next morning, you know, there's no clean dishes to put stuff in. So it disrupted our morning the next day.
Right. Exactly. But at least you know, you talk about it after, because that leads me to my last thing, which is, oh no, we got one thing before that. Tell me about the monthly personal wellness day. I'm so excited to talk about that because this is one of Pilar's things, guys. Pilar is all about that monthly personal wellness day, which is different than a weekday. Tell us about why that day is so important and how do you make sure that day happens? What do? You proactively take that day off? How do you do it?
So my rule of thumb is this: if you work at a place where you get paid holidays, typically we have at least one holiday every month, except for a handful of months. I think it's like 4 or 5 months, like June, March, April, and maybe not even April because you have Good Friday. You could take that as a holiday. Anywho, if a month doesn't have, or the work is not giving you a paid holiday day off, then you should book yourself a personal holiday for those months. Again, this is provided that you do get paid holidays and or can manage a holiday schedule. But if you don't have, if you're self-employed, for example, you should still allow yourself to have a day off a month, 1 day a month for yourself that you do not do work, and that is not a weekend or a regular rest day, right? So if you typically rest 2 days during the week, however your schedule is, you're going to have an additional day that you do not work. So that's what this means. It's a personal wellness day. So and I say that you do this for the months without a holiday because I would assume the months that have a holiday, whether you spend that holiday with family or you don't celebrate it, it still is a day that you could leverage for yourself or to do something with whoever, right? So it is the way I see it is like a pressure cooker. It releases pressure of the month. You need a pressure releaser every month. And I figure for me, a minimum of 1 day a month is that pressure releaser. Because now you can, again, if you make it a personal wellness day, what that means is you obviously in normal situations, now with quarantine, we're going to have to get creative now with quarantine, but on a normal routine or day before quarantine, what we would do, we'll let the kids go to school. So the kids are taken care of for you throughout the day. And instead of you going to work, you're going to plan out your day with a list of activities that will be fulfilling for yourself. And again, I don't mean grocery shopping that you do every Saturday. I mean something for you that will be fulfilling. Maybe an appointment that you cannot do during the weekend or after work hours. And it's something that you care about taking care of, right? It's an appointment, whether it's a medical appointment or a whatever appointment, right? We have the situation sometimes where we want to do something, but those working hours of that location is very uncomfortable. So we want to take care of that business then. So little things like that are allowed, but I would prioritize to do those first in the morning so you can at least have most of the day to yourself. And that could be whatever brings you joy. Those going to the beach bring you joy. And again, provided our circumstances now, we're going to have to get creative. What are the things that will bring us joy and will still be respecting our social distancing rules and being safe, right? So definitely, that's what I mean. It's just doing something that brings you joy. Is it reading a book? Is it going to the pier and sitting in solitude and praying or meditating or doing yoga? Or is it going to the spa and getting a massage? You know, there are many things, and every month you may need to do something different, right? Or is it just to stay home and take care of yourself and do your beauty routine and or try new products and or just nap, you know, for half the day? It doesn't have to be lavish. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to cost you anything. It's just soul searching in this point in time, in this month, in this week, in this day. What's going to bring me joy? What are the things that I want to check off my list or that I need to take time for myself?
Exactly. So the personal wellness day is just that. It's personal wellness. It's about you. It's not really so much about the family or about grocery shopping or doing, you know, logistical things or whatever, you know. No, this is about things that are going to make you happy, that you're going to feel like, wow, this month I had that amazing day. I got to go get my hair done, or I got to go to the beach, or I got to get a massage, or something that really fills me up, so that the rest of the month I have that fuel to keep going, and I feel energized and good. And again, I don't feel like a slave. That's all. That's the theme here. That's the theme. So the last thing that I wanted to ask you about is, which we already kind of touched on this in the beginning, but we can end with this now. We can circle back to your mindset, right? Your mindset that's necessary in order for all of this to work. We kind of touched on it where you said, you know, be open to change, be open to reevaluation. You know, when you're starting this, like I said, that's why I brought Pilar on today, because she's been doing this for years. She's already gotten the flow. She's gotten the hang of this. But some of you guys are new to this, so be easy on yourselves. What other tips would you give just in terms of mindset?
Absolutely. I should say have grace with yourself. Be grateful, be thankful. Recognize that maybe you didn't do your best and be okay with it. You know, today that was my best. You know, some days I can work out at 5 in the morning, do an amazing workout class, come home, get ready, have breakfast done by 9 a.m., be on the phone, and it's super productive. And I feel amazing. I feel like a superwoman when I can do that. But that's not every day. Even in my regular best days before quarantine, right now it's even harder that we don't have the same routine. So not every day is going to be our best of the bestest days, but we can always strive for it and also recognize that this particular day, that's the best I could do. You know, and recognize, be graceful to yourself, be forgiving, and move on. You know, you did good. Let it go. Tomorrow is the next day, and you can always do better. So that's really been my lesson learned throughout the years, because I found myself beating myself up a lot of the times towards the end of the day, of feeling unsuccessful, feeling, you know, tired, feeling like I lost the battle, right? Like the day really got me, or got the best out of me. So I've learned to quickly recognize it, and let it go, and just move on to the next day. Don't cry over spilled milk, pretty much. You can the next day. Yeah.
Yes. I think your microphone was cutting out just a little bit there, but we did hear the major points, which was give yourself grace, understand not every day is going to be, you know, a rock star day. Some days are going to be great. Other days might not be quite as smooth, but give yourself grace, be willing to learn, and the process will get better, right? You know, as you learning by doing. So I want to thank you so much, because what you have shared today, you've shared from your family, from your home. I appreciate that so much, because I know that the people that are listening to this interview today are going to take an incredible amount of value, because a lot of people are new to this. You've been doing it. You've been crushing it like all this time. So I really respect you. And I thank you for sharing with us what's been working for you, so that other people can, you know, take that pressure also off of themselves and learn and just enjoy this experience more, right? It doesn't have to be a terrible thing. It can be just a new, different way of working and living and having that kind of work-life balance.
Yeah,
So,
it's
yeah.
a new challenge, and just remember, we will always learn from every challenge. So take it as a new challenge, continue to adapt, and you will do great. You know, it's a matter of perseverance, and it will help you develop character and develop the strength and your inner self every day, just sort of reinventing yourself. We are a work of art, and we continue to evolve, and we don't need in ways and shapes and forms that we're not even aware yet. So just be open to that fact and continue growing. That's all we can do.
Oh, she's so wise, my friend. She's so wise. I'm just like so proud I have this friend in my life. Thank you so much, Pilar. I love you so much. I hope I can see you soon. I miss you guys. I miss the kids. I miss your husband too, the whole family. And hopefully, you know, we'll be things will change in a few weeks. But until then, we're gonna survive. We're gonna keep going, and we're going to continue to enjoy our lives and just live our best, most radiant life. So thank you so much.
Thank
Sending
you.
a kiss. Have a beautiful rest of your weekend with the family. Enjoy. Don't do any work. And we'll talk again soon. I'm sure I'm going to have Pilar on the channel again at some point in the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again. Take care.